It happens to be here on the 8th of Tibet. It's marked over that it's Hilula of famous Tunisian Rabbi Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji, a really great rabbi of his time. Now, I believe he passed away back in the year 1939. We're talking about here from the time of recording, approximately just around 85-ish years ago, slightly more, and was a famous rabbi. He actually came from a great family auspices. I think his father's name was Kamos, if I'm not mistaken, which is the very common name at that point in time. He was born in Jerba in the year 1859. Actually, he was born on Yud Gimel Nisan, 2 days before the festival of Passover. And I think when he was young, I think sadly it's reported over his father passed away at some stage when he was in his young years. It's reported over here just using the Hayami website here as a resource, which has many different rabbinic biographies, which I recommend people to look at. And because of that, there'll be some responsibility from a financial point of view to, work and help the family. itself. I'll say what it says over here. He would continue at that point in time, also try his best with regards to studies. So, it's actually interesting. He would learn under auspices of a really great rabbi, Hacham David Cohen Gisha, a rabbi we've spoken about on various occasions before. Remember, in Tunisia, especially in the later parts of the 1800s, it was a bastion Torah center of Torah learning, where there was many great rabbis at that point in time, and especially the great rabbi over here. He was actually, just to say something about Rabbi Gisha, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was the author of various great books. He was actually from Jerba also, and he was just a very famous rabbi of his time. Of that, I think we did actually record a video, if I do recollect, within regards to him. That's something that I would definitely have to point out in regards to Rabbi Gisha, and we talked about how it was a great center. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think he passed away on the 24th of Tibet, and he was close with other great rabbis, let's just say. I think he had a famous work, if I'm not mistaken, Shiri David, if I'm not mistaken, and he was close to Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji, if I'm not mistaken. These were great rabbis at that point in time, and I think also Rav Chaim Huri. Remember, in Tunisia, it was a very great caliber of rabbi that we have spoken about before on various occasions before. So very interesting. So that was Rabbi Matok's rabbi, we have to point out there. Okay, Kishuda Lamad Melechet Hatzorfot. So what happened? I think you'd be learning pretty much the whole time. I think we'd learn the craft of goldsmithing, and we'll make a living within regards to that. And he would become quite well off over there from a financial point of view also, while learning Torah throughout, and didn't neglect his studies. He would really have vigorous Torah learning schedule. Referring to his goldsmith activity. Kol Yom Revi'i Haya Shovet Mlachto V'Osek B'Torah V'Kava Lo Itim B'Chanuto B'Beit Knesset Shebeshuk. So he was very into Beit Knesset learning Torah time at that point in time, while he was also running a business. Now, I think Rabbi Matok Cohen Niksha Gam Yeshiva Shel Rav Yitzchak Hori in Jerba. I think he was actually close to the famous yeshiva, which was under the auspices of Rav Yitzchak Hori. Now, remember, we've spoken about the famous Huri rabbinic dynasty here on this series on various occasions before, so I recommend everyone to look back on. Let's explore a bit with regards to him. Anyone joining in live, please subscribe to the channel. We're a community here, and we're learning about a famous Tunisian rabbi, where it marks his passing. Who was Rabbi Yitzchak Hori? He was actually born in 1808 and passed away in 1868 on the 21st of Nisan, and he actually came from great auspices. His father was Rabbi Menachem Hori, and one of his rabbis was Rabbi Yitzchak Hadad, we have to point out. And I think he became a Dayan in Jerba, Rabbi Yitzchak would, and he was known as the author of the Aliyat Rabbi Yitzchak Hori, who we've spoken about before, and the yeshiva itself he was heading was a famous one in of itself. I think with the famous great grandiose library over there, and he was close also to Rav Sassi HaKohen Yonatan, who was head of Jewish court in Jerba, and would really become famous, I think, at that point in time. I think he would actually, Rabbi Yitzchak Huri, would actually spend a portion of his time in Zawiya, in Tripoli, in Libya, respectively, and would do a huge amounts of kiruv work, and was author of great Torah books, including the Bnei Shlishim, if I'm not mistaken, and Kriyat Arba. Remember the famous book, which spoke about, I think, at the time period, where we're commemorating the famous Huri family, which is something that we have to point out over here. Okay, friends, anyone tuning in live, we're exploring the history of Rabbi Matok Cohen. Okay, so let's make some more progress in Jerba. Okay, so he would learn halacha. There would be tefillah at times in of itself, and there would be like huge additions with regards to books and library in of itself. Who gam haya ba'al kol erev v'yada harbe min piyutim hakadmonim ba'al peh. So he would know huge amounts of various piyutim, Torah, poems in of itself. Now I think Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji, he was very, very meticulous with regards to honoring, let's say, great Torah scholars. בכל רגל היה עולה לג'ט מרחק 7 קילומטר להקביל את בני רבו החכם דוד כהן גישה. So he would actually travel huge amounts. I mean, the 7 kilometers, which in those days there was no cars and so on and so forth, to go and greet his rabbi. Rav Gisha was who we spoke about. We actually did mention before that he was his rabbi. He was a very good rabbi of that time in Tunisia, and much more. I think we did record a video about him, which I recommend. So I think after this great rabbi had passed away, if I'm not mistaken, he would fast on his memorial day. It's reported over here. Once again, the Haimi website. קרוב ל-55 שנה, שהיה הולך לבית כנסת מרחוק מביתו, לברך ברכת כהנים, משום שלא היה שם כהן זולתו. So he was very meticulous to be inside synagogue at the time, inside the specific synagogue where there was no Kohanim, to actually give the Birkat Kohanim over there, how important it was. Now, I believe he passed away on the 8th of Tevet in the year 1939, and was buried in Jerba, if I'm not mistaken. Now, he had great, let's just say, Torah books, I think, including, after he passed away, if I'm not mistaken, they call the Yakir Ha'arach, which is חידושים on the MaaMrei Chazal, which is very, very interesting enough. So that's something important actually to point out over here within regards to the great rabbi. Remember, it was a time period where there were many, many great rabbis all over Am Yisrael, and something I very much recommend people to look more at, and how important actually it is to actually look at more. Remember, Tunisia, as we stated before, was a place with many, many famous rabbis of yesteryear, and we spoke about the Huri rabbinic dynasty on various occasions here before, which I recommend everyone to please go back and watch those videos. Remember, it will really help with friends. You could subscribe also to the channel, and you could actually see many, many of the videos and the great content that we're trying to record every single day. Several videos we're trying to bring about, and we do huge amounts others inside the video library in of itself. Now, let's say something about Rav Sassi HaKohen Yonatan, who was another key rabbi at that specific point in time here in Tunisia. I think it's definitely just exploring a few highlights within regards to him also, because I think there was a correspondence. He actually lived between 1832 to 1905 and was like one of the rabbis from the famous Cohen Yonatan family. He was, I think, nicknamed the Maharstach, if I'm not mistaken. He was born in 1832. He would learn under great rabbanim. So remember, he was born in 1832, and we stated before that Rabbi Matok Cohen was born in 1859, so he was born 27 years before him. Rav Sassi was, and it's actually interesting. He learned under great rabbanim, including Rabbi Yitzchak Tzadika and Rabbi Menachem Mazuz, really great rabbis. And I think he was ordained to the rabbinate, received an ordination over there. He also lived in Jerba in Tunisia, and he was appointed a dayan, if I'm not mistaken, and various other important positions he would take on. And I think he was one of the three main dayanim, famous dayanim judges in Jerba of his time, and what would really, really work huge amounts in of itself. I think there was another great rabbi over there at that point in time, Rabbi Tzion Cohen Yonatan. We should point out also, who was a Rosh Abedin and the author of the Shaarei Tzion. He would, I think, maybe at one stage in time become a Dayan also, Rabbi Tzion Cohen Yonatan. Rabbi Tzion actually born much later in 1872. He passed away in 1931. Once again, he was a great rabbi in Jerba, if I'm not mistaken. And just to say something also about Rabbi Tzion, if I'm not mistaken, he was known as one of the geniuses over there. He was, I think, close to Rabbi Chaim Hori, that would speak about him on high terms, and was close to many other rabbis, if I'm not mistaken. And he passed away in 1931. And I think many things, books were, he was the author actually of the Tzion b'Mishpat Tiftah, Shaarei Tzion, which is חידושים on the Shas, Shilot Shivot, question and answer, Shibat Tzion, on the 4 parts of the code of Jewish law. He was also very much responsible for, and many more things. So that's just, we're just going on a tangent. So we were speaking about Rabbi Sassi Cohen Yonatan and his younger brother Rabbi Tzion Cohen, which is very interesting. One more thing we can add with regards to Rabbi Sassi Cohen Yonatan, I think he was actually quite close to the famous Rabbi Moshe Kalfon Cohen also. And we spoke about him before on various occasions. He was one of the great rabbis, without doubt, of Tunisia, and the author of great Torah, Jewish law books, and Shilot Shuvot, and so on and so forth. Now, I think one of his students of Rav Sassi Matok Cohen was someone named Rabbi Moshe Zaken Mazuz. Now, he is another rabbi, I believe, who recorded video about. He passed away in 1915, and he was a great rabbi also in Jerba. He was actually born in 1851, and he would actually learn alongside Rabbi Avram HaKohen. Remember, there were many Cohens at that point in time. Rabbi Avram Cohen Saban was a famous Dayan and an educator, and the Rosh Yeshiva, if I'm not mistaken, in Morocco. And it was also very close to Rabbi Sassi Cohen Yonatan, we have to point out. And eventually, Rabbi Moshe Zaken Mazuz, I think, would, in 1870, he'd Bakish L'Nahel Et Dinei Hakahal Burova Gadol in Jerba. I think he would become a great rabbi over there. And 1875, he would be appointed a Dayan judge in Jerba. And 1905, a Rosh Abedin. He was Rav Moshe Zaken Mazuz. You can see about the caliber of great rabbis. You can see Rav Moshe Zaken Mazuz was a Talmid of the great rabbi we're speaking about today, Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji, which is very interesting. And the greatness of how they pass on the Torah of brilliance to each other. He would have students, Rabbi Moshe Zaken Mazuz, which will include the caliber of Rabbi Machluf Idan, Rabbi Chaim Huri, Rabbi Mordechai Miyasa Cohen, and Rabbi Yosef Bochritz. Really great rabbis. Rabbi Bochritz, I think, passed away in 1949. I was a Morei Tzedek, actually, I think, in Jerba in his time, and head of Jewish court. I think also a head rabbi in the Zeris neighborhood, also in I think the more southern part of Tunisia, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very interesting. Let's go back now to the great rabbi of here, Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji, who he's Hilula here on the 8th of Tevet. And we're going to say about one teaching and then take a short break and then look at the rest of his teachings in his book. So remember, one of the books that will come out after he passed away in 1940, I think Yaker HaArach, if I'm not mistaken, Amud Rishon. By the way, this was, I think, printed Tafus Chevrat Zohar Adstaka, if I'm not mistaken, in Jerba. Maski Hadrim, B'chutza La'aretz, L'kiem Mitzvot She'al Yedam Yisku L'Ge'ulah. The importance of the Ge'ulah in of itself, coming, Moshiach coming ASAP. What an important theme that specifically has to be. Friends, I'm going to take just a short 1-minute break at the moment, so please, in the meantime, you just watch your space. I'm going to come back in 1 minute and we are going to continue the presentation over here. So just watch your space. I'll be 1 minute, friends. Hi, shalom, friends, everyone. Thanks for being patient as we are continuing this presentation over here. Welcome, everyone, if you are new to our channel, by the way, and welcome to our community. And don't forget, friends, to also subscribe, as we've got fantastic content here. We do tours all over Israel. We record with great inspirational personalities, Jewish personalities here of modern era, and we really try and imbue and embrace and bring out the best of Judaism, let's just say, in of itself here on this channel. So everyone, welcome live. And we've got a huge library of more than 1,400 biography videos of great rabbis of yesteryear. Most of the rabbis are from Middle Eastern countries, from Ottoman places, and so on and so forth. Really great rabbis. So many reasons to actually subscribe to our community and enjoy all the fantastic content that we have. We are here to serve the community and enjoy and get inspired. So welcome, everyone. And we're speaking about a really great Tunisian rabbi from Jerba. Remember, Jerba, which is spoken about on various occasions before here inside the series, was a main bastion area of Torah learning of its era, especially during the 1800s, which is something that we very much have to point out over here in this special edition. Now, we're speaking about a great rabbi over here today in today's class, Rabbi Matok Cohen, also known as Atuji, if I'm not mistaken. So very interesting. He passed away in 1939. Let's explore a few of the highlights from his phenomenal Torah book over here, here on this special day over here, friends. Okay, so let's explore a few more ideas. The connection went over there. Okay, friends, sorry about that. Just there was a connection problem. We're going to continue over here. One of the teachings that he actually has inside his Torah work, Melamed, Shashalom Medabek Aguda Achat. One of the, let's say, teachings that we say about, especially during the high holy days inside the Tefillah, within regards to that, we should be like one unit. We should be bundled together. A book which is actually very breathtaking and very fresh in of itself. So another teaching he would give over. How important is this? Actually comes from page number 30, I think, from Amud Aleph. Once again, it was printed from the Chibrat Zohar Tzedakah in Jerba, I believe in 1940, and very important teaching over there, which I can't stress enough. Now, let's look at a couple more teachings over here, friends. And as we are exploring, let's just say, the history of the great rabbi, if we see, there's another teaching, she came up, this actually comes, I think, from page number 10, if I'm not mistaken. And that'll be page 10, I think, Amud... maybe from Amud Yud Bet, Yud Gimel. So I'm not sure if it was page 10 in of itself, but that was a very important teaching. Now, one more teaching, friends, here from this really important book, Melamed, Shehamonim, Shekerem Tov, Yotzeh B'limud Mitalmidei Chachamim. So the important there is, on this specific topic, this actually comes out in pages 45 to 46, I believe, in the Arach. Very important Torah book also, which I strongly recommend everyone to see. We're going to explore a bit about the books, especially Hebrew books. Org very much features a lot of his teachings. That's something that we have to point out also. So they actually state over here about Yakir Harach. It was published in the year 1940. So I have to point out this was published about 85 years ago, here from the time of recording. Obviously, after I think slightly after he passed away. This was, because remember, we said that he passed away in the year 1939, so it would have been about a year after he passed away. I think it contains 170 pages, this book does, and a very important one. I think this is this famous Chabad Lubavitch library, which is like the source within regards to this, and very much so. And yeah, it was actually published in Jerba, if I'm not mistaken. And there's, I'm just as we speak, I'm just looking at the preface of this book at the moment. So very important to actually look about it, learn about it, and so on and so forth. Now, friends over here, we're a community here. We love learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. I'm asking now, if you do descend from any of the great rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information within regards to the great Chachamim, and as we are really let's say, imbuing, enjoying, and embracing. Now, friends, on this channel, we do many things. We also do tours all over Israel. We like to explore, especially in Bet Shemesh and in Jerusalem, let's just say the archaeology places over there, to get the inspiration, get a feel of the country itself. So we record many, many great videos, contents within regards to that, and have a large library of different places that we've been privileged enough to have visited over the last, especially 3.5 years since this channel has really come about. So that's a phenomenal achievement. We also have every single day a really inspirational Jewish personality that comes and gives over some words of wisdom to really inspire us and to powerade our day. We've had some of the top rabbis and top, let's just say, Jewish personalities that have very much contributed to this series, and we've been very, very fortunate to do that. What we do tours, we've already mentioned about before. We also record videos, say, for example, on the weekly Torah portion. That's one thing. And we've also got a daily tidbit on the Daf Yomi, a page a day of the Gemara, the Talmud. And remember, everyone across the world is learning it in a group as a Daf Yomi, as they call it. So we very much wanted to be part of it, and we are part of it. So every day we record a tidbit, and with great success. Sometimes, most of the time, it's a short 1, 2, 3 minute tidbit on the weekly Torah portion, and it really has had phenomenal feedback. And I think we've recorded over approximately 1,100 videos ready on that. So we've got a huge library out there of Torah content. We're here just to inspire, to explore, and so on and so forth. So get ready to check out all the great informations. I think it's an opportune time to wish everyone a fantastic week, and hope everyone's Shabbat was very good and meaningful over here. And please don't forget to send me a comment, and feedback is always appreciated. And wishing all a Shavuot Tov U'Mavrach. We spoke about the famous rabbis of his time from Jerba, Rabbi Matok Cohen Atuji. Zecher Tzadik Lebracha. Thanks for watching. Take care and be well. Thank you.